Some fell to the ground. The alien city of Varaxis always looked peaceful from the outside. But inside the hearts of its people lived a deep fear. A fear so old that even children whispered about it at night. A fear known as the savage beast. Every creature in Varaxis had heard the stories. The guards, the merchants, the elders, even the young ones. They all believed one thing. The savage beast lived in the forbidden red forest. And anyone who entered its shadow never returned. The forest stood on the edge of the city like a giant warning. Its tall red trees looked like burning pillars. Their leaves made strange sounds when the wind touched them. Some said the forest itself breathed, and some claimed they saw glowing eyes inside it at night. Elders told stories of the beast. They said it had claws that could cut metal. They said it shattered stone with a single strike. They said its roar shook the mountains. Every alien believed it was pure danger. Pure destruction, a creature born only to kill. Because of this fear, soldiers guarded the forest day and night. They carried electric spears, sonic rifles, and armor plates. But even with all that protection, they never stepped inside. They kept their distance. Always watching, always afraid. But one person saw the forest differently. A human boy named Evan. Evan was new to Varaxis. He came with a small group of humans who were exploring alien worlds. He was only 15, curious, brave, and sometimes too fearless for his own good. While the aliens walked away from danger, Evan walked closer. The first time he heard about the savage beast, he didn't feel fear. He felt interest. His eyes lit up like someone had just told him a secret he wanted to uncover. He heard a group of alien children speaking near the market. "The beast has returned," one child whispered. "Last night it broke a metal fence like paper," another said. "It is hunting again," a third added with shaking hands. Evan quietly listened. His heart did not beat with fear. It beat with curiosity. At night, Evan sat outside his small shelter and looked at the glowing red forest from far away. Strange noises came from inside. Growls, echoes, snapping branches. The sky above it always looked darker than the rest of Varaxis. One evening, while the city lights dimmed, a group of scared aliens ran toward the guard tower. They shouted. It was close. The beast was near the outer wall. Evan's ears instantly focused. He walked forward and asked, "What did you see?" The aliens stared at him, confused that a human boy wasn't shaking like them. "We saw a large shadow," a guard said. Something huge moved behind the trees. Then the ground trembled. "It is watching us again." The way the guard said it made all aliens gasp. But Evan stepped toward the forest instead of stepping away. That night, he walked to the border alone. The soldiers shouted at him, "Stop! Don't go near the forest. You don't understand what lives inside." But Evan kept walking slowly. His eyes stared into the darkness between the red trees. He felt something, not fear, not danger, but presence, powerful presence. Like something inside knew he was there. A cold wind blew from the forest, carrying a deep sound, not a roar, not a growl. Something between a breath and a warning. The ground under his feet vibrated gently. Evan's heart thumped hard. But he didn't move back. He whispered softly, "Are you really a monster? Or is everyone just afraid of you?" In that moment, two faint blue lights appeared between the trees, glowing softly like eyes slowly opening. Every alien watching screamed and ran back. But Evan stayed still, breath tight in his chest. The glowing eyes rose higher, and higher, and higher until they hovered above the trees. The beast was awake, and it was looking straight at the human boy. The blue eyes in the forest did not blink. They stayed fixed on Evan like two silent moons floating in the darkness. The red trees around them shook gently, as if the whole forest was breathing with the creature. Evan stood still, His hands were slightly shaken, but not from fear, from excitement, from curiosity. From something deep inside, telling him this moment was important. Asterisk behind him, Alien shouted, "Move away. It will kill you. Run, human boy." But Evan didn't move. He felt the beast's gaze pulling him forward. Not pushing him away, a low rumble came from the forest floor, like distant thunder rolling under the soil. The glowing eyes lowered slowly, sinking behind the thick branches. Evan felt the air become heavy, warm, alive. Then he heard its heavy steps, slow, powerful, each one making the ground vibrate under his boots. Leaves fell around him as a massive shape appeared. Part shadow, part muscle, part mystery. The creature stepped out. Not rushing, not attacking, just watching. Its huge body looked like a beast from a forgotten age, with long claws, thick fur, scars across its legs, and metal chains still hanging from old wounds. Something horrible had hurt it long ago. Evan felt a sudden ache in his chest. The stories said it was savage, but what he saw was pain. Suffering and loneliness. The beast growled once. A deep sound that shook the air, but the tone was not full of anger. It sounded like a warning mixed with confusion. As if the creature was asking, "Why aren't you afraid?" Evan slowly raised his hands. Palms open to show peace, he whispered carefully. "I'm not here to hurt you." The beast tilted its huge head slightly. Its glowing eyes narrowed, studying him like he was something strange, something unexpected. A gentle breeze moved between them. The forest fell quiet. Even the wind held its breath. Evan took one small step forward. The creature tensed, muscles tightening, claws touching the ground. Aliens watching from the tower screamed, "Stop. It's going to attack." But the beast didn't move. It only stared deeper into the boy's eyes. Searching for danger, searching for fear. And it found neither. Evan's voice stayed steady. "You're hurt." He pointed slowly at the metal chains. "Someone did this to you?" The beast lowered its gaze, as if remembering the pain, remembering the prison, remembering the ones who had trapped it. Evan felt the sorrow like a heavy wave. No one in the alien city ever thought about the beast's pain. They only thought about their fear. Only Evan looked at it with empathy. Suddenly, the creature took a single step forward. Its earth-shaking weight pressed into the soil. Evan's heart raced. His legs wanted to run. But he forced himself to stay. The beast lifted its giant head until its glowing blue eyes were inches above Evan's face. Its warm breath washed over him, carrying the scent of smoke, soil, and something ancient. Evan whispered, "You're not a monster." The creature's eyes softened, almost like it understood his words, almost like it had been waiting for anyone to say that. Then something shocking happened. The beast slowly lowered its entire body to the ground. Like a giant bowing before a small boy, the aliens gasped in disbelief. Some cried out in terror, others simply froze. Because the beast had never bowed to anyone. Evan reached out a trembling hand and touched the creature's head. Its fur was warm, rough, but alive. The moment felt unreal. The beast let out a soft, deep sound, not a growl, not a roar, but something gentle. Almost like a purr from a creature far too large to be gentle. Evan smiled slowly. "You're not savage. You're just alone," he said, but the moment ended fast. A sudden alarm rang from the alien tower. Red lights flashing, guards shouted, "Beast approaching the border. Prepare weapons." The creature lifted its head sharply. Sensing danger, Evan whispered urgently, "No, don't run. They'll think you're attacking." But it was too late. Soldiers stepped forward with charged weapons. And the forest filled with fear once again, but this time, not Evan's fear. The fear of a wounded creature about to be attacked. The alarm lights flashed across the alien border walls. Soldiers ran in panic, shouting orders. Their weapons glowed bright blue as they prepared to fire. The entire city believed the savage beast was about to attack. But Evan stood in front of the creature, arms wide open, his heart beat fast. But not from fear, from determination. He shouted, "Stop. Don't shoot. It's not attacking." The aliens didn't listen. Their hands shook as they aimed at the beast. The creature growled softly low. Afraid, confused, its huge body leaned back, ready to run or defend itself. Evan quickly turned to the beast and whispered, "It's okay. Stay with me." His voice was gentle, steady, even though danger was all around. One commander yelled, "Human boy, move away. It will kill you. We cannot risk the city." But Evan didn't move an inch. His back stayed against the beast's massive chest like a shield. The creature seemed to understand the boy's protection. It lowered its head again, slowly, showing it meant no harm. That simple gesture, so gentle from something so powerful, made the soldiers freeze. Their fingers loosened from their weapons, confusion replacing fear. Why? Why is it lowering its head? A guard whispered, "No beast does that." Another muttered, "It should be tearing him apart." A third said, voice trembling, but Evan already knew the truth. The creature was not savage, not wild, not a monster. It was lonely, wounded, and misunderstood. He placed his hand on its fur again. The beast closed its glowing eyes slightly, like it felt comfort for the first time in years. A soft, deep hum came from its chest, not a roar, but a peaceful sound. The guards slowly lowered their weapons. Unsure, one of them said, "Is it?" Obeying the human boy. Evan looked up at the creature with a small smile. "I'm going to call you Stormhorn," he said gently. The beast lifted its head a little, its massive horns glinting in the red forest light. The name seemed to fit. Strong, old, proud, but gentle. Stormhorn sniffed the boy's shoulder, nudging him softly. The aliens gasped again. They had never seen the creature act this way, but their fear didn't disappear completely. A soldier whispered, "What if it's pretending? What if it attacks later?" Another replied, "No, look, it protects the human. It trusts him." Evan finally stepped forward, still touching Stormhorn's fur. He spoke loudly so everyone could hear. "He's not your enemy. Someone hurt him, chained him, tortured him, and you blamed him without knowing the truth." The aliens looked at the old scars. The metal chains still stuck in Stormhorn's legs. For the first time, they saw pain instead of danger. But fear is a powerful thing, and some hearts refuse to change. The commander shouted, "This creature is still a threat. We cannot allow it to live near our city." Stormhorn reacted instantly. Not in anger, but in fear. It stepped back, shaking the ground. Its deep growl echoed through the forest, a sound of warning, of pain, of survival. Evan quickly stepped in front again. "No, a totem," he pleaded. "He trusted me. Let me show you he can be peaceful." But the commander raised his rifle again. "We end this now." The moment froze in time. Stormhorn's eyes widened. Evan's breath caught in his chest. A single shot fired into the night sky, not at Stormhorn, but as a warning, and the commander gave the order. "At sunrise, we hunt the beast." Evan felt his heart break. Stormhorn growled softly and moved closer to him, almost hiding behind the boy like a child hides behind a parent. Evan touched the creature's nose gently and whispered, "I won't let them hurt you. I promise." Stormhorn closed its eyes, trusting him completely, but the sun had not risen yet. And already the forest knew a war between fear and friendship was coming. Night covered the alien city like a heavy blanket. But Evan could not sleep. His mind kept replaying the commander's words. "At sunrise, we hunt the beast." Every time those words echoed in his head, his stomach twisted with fear. Not fear for himself, but for Stormhorn. The gentle creature who trusted him. The creature who bowed to him. The creature who had never hurt anyone. Evan sat on the cold ground, staring at the red forest where Stormhorn hid. "I have to warn him," he whispered to himself. "I have to save him." Before dawn, Evan quietly slipped out of his shelter. The soldiers at the watchtower were tired. Yawning, not expecting anyone to move toward the forest, especially not a human boy. Evan moved fast, staying in the shadows. As he stepped into the forest, the air changed. It felt heavier, warmer, almost welcoming. The strange red trees whispered softly, leaves shaking like they recognized him. Then he heard deep, familiar breathing. Stormhorn appeared from behind a tree, its glowing blue eyes soft when they fell on Evan. The creature walked slowly toward him, lowering its head so the boy could touch him. Evan pressed his forehead against the beast's warm fur. "They're coming," he whispered. "They want to kill you at sunrise. You need to hide or run." Stormhorn made a low sound, something between sadness and confusion. It understood danger was coming. But it didn't understand why. It didn't understand why the ones who heard it were being listened to. While the one who cared was ignored, Evan gently touched the broken metal chain on the beast's leg. "Who did this to you?" he whispered. Stormhorn didn't respond with sound, but its eyes darkened with memories painful. Terrifying memories. But before Evan could say more, snapping branches echoed behind them. Voices, shadows, soldiers. They had come early before sunrise, ready to strike when the creature was unaware. "Scatter, surround the beast." The commander shouted. Blue weapon lights lit up the forest, energy rifles charged. Fear rolled through the trees like a wave. Stormhorn growled in fear. Not aggression, stepping back. Claws scraping the ground. Evan ran in front of the creature instantly, arms out wide. "Stop, don't shoot." He screamed. He is not attacking. But fear makes ears deaf. The soldiers didn't care what Evan felt or saw. They cared only about the stories they believed. The commander aimed his weapon directly at Stormhorn's heart. "This ends tonight." Stormhorn's breath turned heavy, trembling. Its glowing eyes widened not with rage, but with terror. The same terror from years ago when it was chained. Hurt and hunted, Evan felt the creature shaking. Stormhorn leaned its huge head behind Evan's back, like a frightened animal seeking protection. Evan shouted louder. "He bowed to me. He trusts me. If he wanted to kill anyone, he would have done it already. Move." The commander roared. But Evan didn't. He planted his feet into the dirt, unmovable. "If you want to kill him, you'll have to shoot through me." The forest froze. Even the wind stopped. Even the birds went silent. Stormhorn let out a heartbreaking sound, something deep. Soft, full of fear and love mixed together. The commander's hands tightened on the weapon. One soldier whispered, "Sir, he's just a child. We can't. We must." The commander barked. "He is controlling the beast. He is dangerous." Stormhorn sensed Evan's fear rising and suddenly stepped forward, not to attack, but to shield the boy, placing its massive body between the soldiers and Evan. The commander panicked. "It's charging. Fire." A single blast shot through the air, bright, loud. Deadly, but Stormhorn moved faster than anyone expected. It shielded Evan with its entire body. Taking the shot directly in its shoulder, the beast roared in pain, a shattering, world-shaking roar that echoed across the entire forest, shaking every tree and shaking every heart. Evan screamed, "Nitrogen monoxide. Stop. Stop shooting." Stormhorn staggered, blood glowing faintly, dripping onto the red soil. But even in pain, even wounded, it kept standing between Evan and the weapons. The aliens saw something they had never seen before. Savage beast risking its life not for itself, but for a human boy. And yet, The real danger had not even arrived because deep underground, something else had awakened from the sound of the blast. Stormhorn's roar echoed through the entire forest, shaking leaves loose from branches, scattering birds into the sky, and freezing the soldiers in shock. The glow from the wound on his shoulder pulsed faintly. Like lightning trapped under his skin, Evan held onto the beast's fur tightly. "You protected me. Even when they attacked you," he whispered. His voice breaking, Stormhorn lowered its head, breathing heavily, but its eyes stayed alert. Scanning the forest, sensing danger none of the aliens understood yet, the commander pointed his weapon again. "Reload. We finish it before it becomes violent," but before the soldiers could fire, the ground beneath them trembled, not from Stormhorn, not from the forest, but from something deeper. Something ancient, something rising. The vibration grew stronger, the soil cracking under their boots. "What's happening?" a soldier cried. "An earthquake?" "No." Stormhorn growled softly, stepping back. Its fur stood up, its claws dug into the ground. It knew this feeling, it remembered it, it feared it. Evan felt the creature trembling, not from pain, but from recognition. The same terror Stormhorn had shown when the chains were touched, the same fear hidden deep inside its glowing eyes. Then, from deep underground, a massive crack ripped open the earth, throwing soil and rocks into the air. Soldiers fell, shouting, weapons slipping from their hands. A shadow emerged, huge and shifting. At first, it looked like a mountain rising, then like an armored creature built from stone and darkness. Its body was covered in thick plates, like sharp metal. Its eyes burned red like molten fire. And its roar sounded like an entire volcano exploding. The aliens screamed. That's the real beast. That's the monster from the old stories. Evan felt his mouth go dry. This creature was twice Stormhorn's size, stronger, heavier. A creature born only to destroy. Stormhorn stepped forward, placing himself between Evan and the monster, growling with deep hatred. Evan suddenly understood the scars on Stormhorn's body were not from soldiers, not from chains, not from alien hunters, but from this creature. This was the enemy that hurt Stormhorn. This was the one he had been hiding from. This was the one the aliens should have feared all along. The commander dropped his weapon in fear. What? What have we done? We attacked the wrong creature. The armored monster roared again, the force pushing trees sideways, splitting the earth. Its eyes locked onto the city behind the soldiers. It moved forward slow at first, then faster. Every step crushed roots and stones under its massive claws. It's heading for the city. A guard shouted, "Stop it. We can't." Weapons fired. Energy blasts exploded against the monster's armored plates, but they did nothing. The creature didn't even flinch. Stormhorn roared so loud the ground shook again. He charged forward, not to flee, but to fight. Evan screamed, "No, Stormhorn, you're injured." But the beast didn't listen. It ran straight toward the enemy, smashing through bushes and rocks. The two giants collided with a thunderous impact that shook the entire forest. Claws struck armor. Teeth scraped against plates, roars echoed like war drums. Stormhorn fought with everything, but the enemy was stronger. It slammed Stormhorn against a tree, cracking the trunk in half. Stormhorn fell to one knee, growling in pain. Evan rushed closer, desperate. "Stormhorn, get up, please." The monster turned its burning eyes toward Evan. It lowered its head, preparing to strike the human. Stormhorn saw this and something inside him exploded with rage. He pushed against the ground, forcing himself to stand again. His eyes glowed brighter, bluer, burning with fury. With a roar louder than thunder, he lunged at the monster, ramming it away from Evan. The impact creating a shockwave that sent dust and leaves flying high into the air. The soldiers stared in disbelief. The beast is defending the human boy. He saved him again. But even as Stormhorn pushed the monster back, Evan realized one terrible truth: Stormhorn could not win this fight alone. Not wounded, not weakened, not against an enemy designed for destruction. The real battle of the forest had just begun, and this time, Evan knew he could not stand by and watch. He had to act. He had to help his friend. Before the monster destroyed everything, the forest shook like a storm of giants had entered it. Trees cracked, dust clouds rose, and echoes hammered through the ground as Stormhorn and the armored monster clashed again and again. Stormhorn's claws scraped across the monster's steel-like plates, sending sparks everywhere. The monster roared back and slammed Stormhorn with its massive head, throwing him across the ground like a falling boulder. Evan ran after him, shouting, "Stormhorn, get up, please." The wounded beast staggered to his feet, breathing hard, blood glowing from the shoulder wound where he took the commander's blast. His legs trembled, but his eyes stayed locked on the enemy. He was hurt, badly hurt, but he refused to fall. Not while Evan stood behind him. The armored monster charged again, its claws leaving deep cuts in the earth. Each step sounded like an explosion. It opened its massive jaws, red fire burning inside. Stormhorn roared and charged back, the two giants crashing together once more, smashing trees, shaking the sky. But Stormhorn was slower now, weaker. Every movement cost him strength he no longer had. Evan watched helplessly, heart racing. If Stormhorn fell, the monster would kill him next, and then the alien city. "No, I won't let that happen," Evan whispered. "I have to help him." He looked around desperately. Broken branches, sharp stones, tangled vines. Then he saw something: a dropped soldier's bag, half open, glowing faint blue from inside. Evan grabbed it and pulled out a small device, a sonic disruptor bomb. A dangerous weapon, strong enough to stun large creatures. But if he used it wrong, it could kill Stormhorn too. His hands shook, his heart pounded. But he had no choice. Stormhorn needed him. The armored monster slammed Stormhorn into the ground again, pinning him with its weight, claws sinking into Stormhorn's fur. Stormhorn roared in agony, his body shaking violently. "No!" Evan shouted. He ran forward with the device and threw himself behind a fallen tree, activating the bomb. "Please, let this work. Let it help him." A loud, piercing shockwave exploded across the forest. The air rippled, the ground vibrated. Both creatures roared in confusion and pain. The monster stumbled backward, plates cracking, its balance broken. Stormhorn rolled away, breathing weakly. The soldiers watching from the distance shouted, "What did the human do? He stunned them both. Is he insane?" But Evan wasn't insane. He was brave. He was desperate. He knew one moment of weakness in the monster could save Stormhorn's life. Stormhorn struggled to stand again, his legs trembling. Evan looked up at him and shouted, "Now, you can do it. Fight back." Something powerful woke inside the beast, a spark, a memory, a promise. His eyes blazed brighter than before, glowing with deep blue fire. He pushed against the dirt with all his strength. He stood steady, wounded, but standing. The monster charged again, angrier, faster, but still disoriented from the sonic blast. Stormhorn lowered his horns and roared with a strength pulled from the very core of his soul. They collided again. This time, Stormhorn struck first. His horns slammed into the monster's armored chest, cracks spreading like lightning across the plates. The monster screeched, stumbling back for the first time. Evan screamed with joy. "You did it. It's working. Keep going." Stormhorn roared and attacked again, pushing the monster through a shattered tree. But the victory was small. Stormhorn's body weakened, his wounds deepening, every breath loud and painful. Evan could see it clearly. Stormhorn was fighting with his heart. Not his strength and heart alone wouldn't be enough much longer. The armored monster rose again, angrier, glowing, its claws lighting up with burning red energy. It lifted both arms high, preparing a final, deadly strike strong enough to crush Stormhorn completely. Evan's breath stopped. "Stormhorn, move." He screamed, but Stormhorn was too tired. Too wounded, he couldn't escape. He couldn't defend. He couldn't survive the next hit. The monster roared and brought its claws down straight toward Stormhorn at the same moment. Evan ran forward, throwing himself into the battlefield. Not away, but toward the danger, because he refused to lose his friend. The armored monster's burning claws came down like a falling mountain. The air cracking from the force, Stormhorn tried to move, tried to rise. Tried to protect Evan, but his body finally reached its limit. His legs shook, his breath broke, and he collapsed to one knee, unable to escape. Evan saw everything in slow motion. Stormhorn defeated. The monster raging, death coming, and still he did not run. He sprinted forward and threw himself between Stormhorn and the falling claws. Shouting with all the strength in his chest, "Stop!" The monster's shadow swallowed him, claws glowing red. Ready to crush him, but at that exact moment, a loud whistle cut through the air. A sonic blast fired from the soldier's tower. The shockwave struck the monster's claws, knocking them aside and sending the beast stumbling backward. The commander lowered his rifle, breathing heavily. We can't let the boy die," he muttered, for the first time. "The monster is not the enemy." The soldiers around him slowly nodded. Their fear was changing. Their eyes were finally open. Evan turned back to Stormhorn. The giant creature lay on the ground, bleeding, panting, barely conscious. Evan touched his massive face with shaking hands. "Hold on. Please hold on. You're not alone anymore." Stormhorn made a soft sound, weak, trembling but filled with trust. His glowing eyes opened halfway, looking only at Evan, not at the soldiers, not at the monsters. Just at the boy who believed in him when no one else did. The armored beast roared again, rising to its full height, its plates cracking from the earlier blast, red smoke pouring from its mouth like a furnace. It looked more furious than ever, more determined to destroy everything around it. But something had changed. This time, the soldiers did not run. This time, they stepped forward, forming a defensive line in front of the wounded Stormhorn and Evan. One soldier whispered, "If the human and the beast fight for us, then we fight for them too." The commander lifted his rifle. Aim. Dozens of blue lights lit the forest, weapons charged, hearts steady. This was no longer just a hunt, it was a war for survival. The monster charged, the soldiers fired. Energy blasts exploded across the creature's armor, breaking off plates, cracking its shell, slowing its steps, but it was still too strong. Evan looked at Stormhorn. "You can do it." "One last time," he whispered, his voice soft but full of hope. Stormhorn slowly pushed himself up, struggling, shaking, his legs almost giving out. But then he heard Evan's voice again. And for the creature, that was enough. He rose not as a beast, not as a monster, but as a protector. His eyes glowed brighter than ever. His roar shook the sky. For the final time, he charged, his body burning with pain, but his spirit burning with fire. The two giants collided in one last earth-shattering impact. Stormhorn used all his strength, all his rage, all his love to push the armored monster back. The creature screeched, stumbling, its legs shaking. Stormhorn lowered his horns and delivered one final strike, a powerful ram straight into the monster's chest. The cracked armor split open, glowing red energy bursting out. The monster fell backward into the giant crack it came from. its roar fading into the depths of the earth. The forest became silent, the air still, the danger gone. Stormhorn collapsed immediately. Exhaustion overtaking him, his body trembling and weak. Evan dropped to his knees beside him, tears falling. You did it. You saved everyone. The commander and the soldiers approached slowly, not with weapons, but with respect. One soldier carried something glowing, healing crystal used only for the most sacred cures. He kneeled and placed it gently against Stormhorn's wound. Blue light spread across the beast's body, slowly healing, slowly calming, slowly bringing him back. Stormhorn opened his eyes fully, not in fear, not in pain, but in relief. The commander spoke softly. Human boy, and noble creature. Today, you saved our people. We were wrong to fear you. The entire alien city bowed their heads to Stormhorn, a creature they once feared. A creature they misunderstood, now their guardian. Evan placed his hand on Stormhorn's giant head. Come on, big guy. Let's go home, Stormhorn rose proudly, and for the first time. He walked into the city not as a monster, but as a legend, with the human boy he trusted more than anyone by his side.